June 15, 1958, 11:47 p.m. Raymond Quick Lewis was driving Bumpy Johnson back from a business meeting in the Bronx when they saw smoke. Thick black smoke rising into the night sky, coming from 138th Street. Raymond slowed the car. "Boss, that's a lot of smoke. Too much for a house fire." Bumpy leaned forward, looked at the glow in the distance. "That's coming from Mere Abyssinian Baptist. Drive faster." Raymond pressed the accelerator. They turned onto 138th, and what they saw made Raymond slam on the brakes. The church was burning. Not just burning, engulfed. Flames shooting through the roof. Windows exploding from the heat. And in front of the church, on the sidewalk, were bodies. People who'd made it out. People who hadn't. Smoke inhalation. Burns. Families holding each other. Children crying. And the sound Raymond would hear for the rest of his life, was the screaming. People trapped inside. Still alive. Still calling for help. Still banging on doors that wouldn't open from the inside. Bumpy got out of the car before it fully stopped. Ran toward the church. Raymond followed. But when they got close enough to see inside through the broken windows, when they saw what the fire had done to the people who couldn't escape, Raymond stopped, turned, walked back to the car, sat down, and threw up. He threw up until there was nothing left. Then he sat there, shaking, because Raymond Quick Lewis had seen violence, had been part of Bumpy's organization for 8 years, had witnessed shootings, had cleaned up crime scenes, had done things he wasn't proud of, but nothing in his criminal career had prepared him for the sight of 17 people burned in their own church. And when Bumpy came back an hour later, covered in soot, eyes red from smoke and maybe from tears, Raymond looked at him and said 5 words he never thought he'd say. "Boss, I can't do this anymore." The church was Mount Zion Baptist, not as famous as Abyssinian, smaller, working-class congregation, about 60 regular members. They met every Sunday morning, every Wednesday night for prayer service. June 15, 1958 was a Wednesday. Prayer service started at 7 p.m. By 11 p.m., it should have been over. Everyone should have gone home. But that Wednesday was special. The congregation was planning a community event, a voter registration drive. They'd invited a speaker from the NAACP, had stayed late discussing strategy, making signs, planning how to reach people who'd never voted before. There were 32 people in the church at 11 p.m. Families, elders, young people excited about making change. The youngest was 6 years old, a girl named Angela, sitting with her mother while the adults talked about democracy and rights and the future. At 11:17 p.m., someone threw something through the church's basement window. A bottle, filled with gasoline, lit with a rag. It shattered on the basement floor. Flames spread instantly. Old wood, dry. The church was 90 years old, built in 1868 right after the Civil War. It had survived that long, survived Reconstruction, survived the Depression, survived 2 world wars. But it couldn't survive hate. The fire moved fast, up the basement stairs, into the main sanctuary where the 32 people were gathered. By the time someone smelled smoke, it was already too late. The front doors had been chained from the outside. Someone had planned this, had waited until the meeting started, had chained the doors, had thrown the firebomb, had tried to make sure nobody got out. But some people did get out, 15 of them, through side windows, through a back door that wasn't chained. They broke windows with chairs, squeezed through, helped children out first, pulled elders through, got out coughing, burned, terrified, but alive. 17 people didn't make it, trapped by the flames, overcome by smoke, unable to reach the windows, unable to break through the chained front doors. They died in their church, in their sanctuary, in the place they'd gathered to talk about making their community better. Raymond and Bumpy arrived at 11:47 p.m., 30 minutes after the fire started. Fire trucks were there, firefighters spraying water. But the church was already gone. Structure collapsing, roof caved in. What remained was a burning shell. The survivors were on the sidewalk, some sitting, some standing, all in shock. Bumpy went to them immediately, started asking questions. Who did this? Did anyone see anything? Reverend Marcus, the church's pastor, was sitting on the curb, face covered in soot, hands burned from trying to break through the chained doors. He looked up at Bumpy with empty eyes. They chained the doors. From outside. We couldn't get out. We tried. We pulled and pushed and beat on those doors, but they wouldn't open. And people were screaming. Children were crying. and the smoke was so thick we couldn't see, and he stopped, couldn't continue, just sat there, staring at the burning building where 17 of his congregation had died. A woman approached Bumpy, Mrs. Patterson, her face streaked with tears, her dress torn and singed. "Mr. Johnson, my sister, she's still inside. She had a bad leg, couldn't move fast. I tried to help her, but the smoke. I had to let go. I had to save my daughter. I had to choose, and now my sister is." She collapsed. Bumpy caught her, held her while she sobbed, called for someone to help her sit down, give her water. Raymond was standing behind Bumpy, watching, listening, and then he made the mistake of looking into the church, through a broken window, saw what was left inside, the shapes that used to be people, and that's when he ran back to the car. Bumpy stayed for 2 hours, helping survivors, talking to police, making sure everyone who got out had somewhere to go for the night, making mental notes of everyone who'd lost someone, everyone who'd need help with funerals, medical bills, trauma. When he finally got back to the car, Raymond was sitting in the driver's seat, not moving, just staring straight ahead. "Boss," Raymond's voice was hollow. "I saw them. Inside. The people who didn't make it. I saw what fire does too." He stopped, swallowed hard. I can't unsee that." Bumpy got in the passenger seat, sat quietly for a moment. "I know. I saw them too." "Then why are you so calm?" Bumpy turned to look at him. "I'm not calm. I'm angry. Angrier than I've ever been. But anger doesn't help those people. Doesn't bring them back. Doesn't comfort their families. So I'm doing what needs to be done. What needs to be done is finding who did this and making them pay. That's one thing that needs to be done. But first, we take care of the families. We make sure they're safe. We make sure they have what they need. Then we handle the rest." Raymond drove Bumpy home. Didn't speak the whole way. When they arrived, Raymond turned off the engine. "Boss, I need to tell you something." "Go ahead." "I'm done." "Done with what?" "This. The organization. The work. All of it. I can't do it anymore." Bumpy was quiet. "Because of what you saw tonight. Because I've been doing this for 8 years. I thought I was tough. Thought I could handle anything. But tonight showed me I can't. Those people weren't criminals. Weren't mobsters. Weren't in the game. They were families. Trying to help their community. And someone burned them alive because they wanted to register voters. Burned them in a church. A church, boss. The one place that's supposed to be safe. And I saw what that did to them. And I have kids, boss. 2 boys. And I keep thinking, what if that was their church? What if that was them? And I can't. I just can't keep doing this knowing that evil like that exists, and I'm out here working for an organization that operates in the same world that allows that to happen." Bumpy listened, then nodded slowly. "I understand. You want to leave, you leave. No hard feelings. You've been good to me for 8 years. Loyal. Professional. I'm not going to hold you to something that's breaking you. Thank you, boss." "What will you do?" Raymond thought for a moment. "I don't know. Find honest work. Spend more time with my boys. Maybe volunteer at a church. Help rebuild Mount Zion if they decide to rebuild it. Make sure my kids grow up knowing that when evil happens, good people have to respond. Not with violence. With service. With community. That's good. That's the right thing." Raymond looked at Bumpy. "What are you going to do? About the fire? About the people who did it?" "I'm going to find them. And when I do," Bumpy's voice was quiet, cold. "When I do, they're going to wish they'd never been born." Over the next 3 weeks, Bumpy conducted an investigation. Quiet, thorough. He had people asking questions in neighborhoods where hate groups met, where the Klan had supporters, where people celebrated violence against black folks. The answers came slowly. For names, white men from Queens, known for their hatred, known for previous acts of vandalism against black churches, known for saying things like, "Keep them in their place," and "They're getting too bold." One of them worked at a hardware store, had access to gasoline, chains, materials needed for arson. Another had been seen near Mount Zion Baptist the week before the fire, taking notes, watching. By July 6, 1958, all 4 men had disappeared, just gone. Their families reported them missing. Police investigated, found nothing, no bodies, no evidence. Just 4 men who'd been there one day and gone the next. The investigation went cold. Unsolved missing persons. But in Harlem, people knew, whispered, understood. Bumpy Johnson had kept his promise. Justice had been served. Not in a courtroom, not through official channels, but served nonetheless. Raymond Quick Lewis got a job at the post office. Steady work, good benefits, Every Sunday, he took his two boys to church. Different church, not Mount Zion. That was being rebuilt, but wouldn't be ready for another year. He made sure his boys understood what had happened, told them about the 17 people who died, told them about the evil that could exist in the world, but also told them about the people who'd helped after, the community that came together, the donations that poured in, the volunteers who helped survivors. Taught his boys that darkness existed, but so did light, and you had to choose which one you'd be. In 1959, Mount Zion Baptist reopened. New building, fireproof materials, multiple exits, no chains allowed on any doors. Ever. The congregation had grown. People who had heard about the tragedy wanted to support, wanted to show that hate wouldn't win. On opening day, Raymond attended with his family, sat in the back, listened to Reverend Marcus, who'd survived the fire, speak about resilience, about refusing to be broken, about continuing the work of voter registration and community service because that's what the 17 who died would have wanted. Raymond cried that day, not from sadness, from pride, from hope, from understanding that evil could destroy a building, but it couldn't destroy a community. Bumpy attended that service too, stood in the very back, didn't sit, just stood, watching. When the service ended, Reverend Marcus approached him. "Mr. Johnson, thank you for coming. Thank you for rebuilding." Bumpy gestured to the congregation. "They did this. The community, the donations, the volunteers. I just helped move some materials. We both know you did more than that." Bumpy met his eyes. "I did what needed to be done. The men who caused this?" Reverend Marcus's voice was quiet. "Gone." Bumpy nodded. "Gone." Reverend Marcus was silent for a moment. "I'm a man of God. I preach forgiveness, peace, turning the other cheek. But I'm also a man who watched 17 of my congregation die screaming, who tried to save them and couldn't, who carries that failure every day. So when you tell me the men responsible are gone, I should feel conflicted. I should feel guilty for not being sad about it. But I don't. I feel relieved. Is that wrong? That's human. And sometimes human justice is the only justice available." Raymond saw Bumpy leaving, called out to him, "Boss." Bumpy turned. Raymond walked over, extended his hand. "Thank you. For understanding. For letting me leave. For doing what you did." Bumpy shook his hand. "You were right to leave. You've got kids. You've got a future that doesn't involve seeing things like that fire. You made the right choice. How do you do it? How do you see that and keep going? Because someone has to. Someone has to stand between the community and the evil that wants to destroy it. That used to be me. Now it's time for people like you. People who'll raise good kids. Who'll volunteer. Who'll rebuild. That's how we win. Not just by stopping evil, by building something better." If this story showed you that some evils are so profound they change everyone who witnesses them, hit subscribe. Drop a like if you understand that protecting community means standing against hatred in all its forms. Comment with respect for the 17 souls lost at Mount Zion Baptist in 1958. More stories of tragedy and consequence coming next.